Wednesday, the 13th of September. Hello, everyone. This is your Frontier Opening Bell. Let's get started with the market. As always, the South African stock market down slightly by 0.03%. The Nairobi stock market, we thought the markets in Kenya will be recovering from what we saw earlier in the week, but that went back south on Tuesday, 1.05%, 99.35 on the All Share Index reading. Kenyans reeling with a whole lot of accusations of corruption and folks, the big boys, piling shillings, changing them into US dollars and causing FX scarcity in East Africa's economy. The news is all over the place. What will President William Ruto do about it as he marks his first year in office? Quite a whole lot right now, a tightrope for the authorities in Nairobi. The market's getting a whiff of that, by the way. The Egyptian market's down just slightly below 0.1%. The BRVM continued to fire on in Côte d'Ivoire. The stock exchange, representing the 8 French-speaking West African economies, rallied 1.22%, the biggest in West Africa on Tuesday. Even the Ghana market was just about 0.5% in the green. So the composite in the BRVM was about 215.1. The Nigerian stock market was down 0.8% again as investors begin to react to that FTSE Russell investment management company's decision to kick Nigeria out of the Frontier Markets Index into unclassified territory effective Monday, September the 18th. The banking sector got hit yesterday, including other big names such as MTN, Inditeco, and Nestle, Nigeria's largest food company, were buffeted on Tuesday. Over the last 2 sessions since Monday, the Nigerian market has been down about 700 billion naira. That's local currency downside. We're now standing around 66,000. So let's get to East Africa and look at some of the stories making the headlines. President Ruto has launched the Central Securities Depository DAO, which is expected to ease investors' transactions within the East African market. The big boy, that's the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Treasuries, however, in Kenya's caught treasury bills stock to about 11% and extends local debt maturity, all about rejigging the books, as it were, to give the government a bit of a breather due to the scarcity of foreign exchange and, of course, what the government was paying as yields on both local and international bonds and treasury bills. The Bank of Uganda, good news, however, has licensed Salam Bank, which is already operating about 2 other countries in the Horn of Africa, as the first Uganda's Islamic lender. The bank is expected to start operations in the next few weeks. Congratulations to Salam Bank and Uganda onboarding its first non-interest lending bank. And Tanzania billionaire Mo Dewji is looking to invest $100 million in Rwanda. That's what I call be your neighbor's keeper. That's a handshake between Rwanda and Tanzania in the East African region. That's some good news. Let's move on to West Africa. Again, Nigeria in the news with the yellow card and MoonPay. They say they're coming together to support Nigerians who want to continue trading cryptocurrency. It's a payment enhancement which will involve local bank transfers. Again, because central banks still shutting the door on using the banking system for crypto trading in Nigeria. So the fintech guys, Yellow Card, MoonPay, and others are working behind the scenes to ensure that crypto trading and transactions continue seamlessly within the Nigeria space. Oil markets, the big story from OPEC yesterday, keeping its forecast of global oil demand for this year unchanged, but says we'll see about 2.2 million barrels per day expansion next year because the OPEC Plus expect China to continue to consume oil and further recover in the global economy. So the headline figure for 2024 global oil demand will be around 104.3 million barrels in total. Oil prices around $92 a barrel, even though the supply cut extension by Saudi Arabia and Russia is now beginning to threaten the new volatility to the upside that we've seen in oil prices over the last 3 sessions. Still, But again, you've got the IEA also giving its forecast as far as the global energy demand is concerned. It's a very busy week on the energy front. Keep an eye on that. Ghana reporting first half of this year, January to June investment slowing to about 274.7 million US dollars. And then you've got this big news. The African Union is looking to float its own global rating agency by the year 2024. That's just next year. The whole idea is to have a rating agency that is Africa-focused, homegrown on the continent, that will support the assessment of loan risks that African economies and sovereigns in the main will be taking, including the private sector, by the way. Expect that to happen. Again, you've seen the Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo complaining bitterly at the last Afreximbank annual meetings a few months ago about S&P, the Moody's, Fitch Ratings, GCR, all of them saying they're giving Africa unfair ratings and makes Africa's cost of borrowing globally more expensive than other countries, even in emerging and frontier markets of Latin America, Asia, including Europe. So the African Union is perfecting this plan, which of course has the support of Afreximbank and others to build an own indigenous Pan-African rating agency. And that is one piece of news you need to keep an eye for. We'll update everyone. Let's take it all to Southern Africa, by the way, and see what's grabbing the headlines this Wednesday. Botswana Stock Exchange has appointed Ms. Sesame Moki as the new chairperson of the board of directors of Botswana Stock Exchange in Gaborone. Congratulations, Madam Chairperson. South Africa's bond extended losses because of tax revenue shortfall, straining Ramaphosa's administration's budget. Zimbabwe's president, interesting news, is keeping Ntuli Ntube as the Minister of Finance, is being his sidekick for a long time, supporting what President Mnangagwa is doing as far as the economy is concerned. But President Mnangagwa is choosing his own son, as the Deputy Minister of Finance, whatever that means, whether for succession purpose or to keep an eye, to have his son, the president's son, keep an eye on what the Minister Ntube is doing is anyone's guess. But that's the situation. Right now, the president has appointed his own son as the Deputy Minister of Finance while keeping Ntube on the cabinet. Zambia is planning a carbon offset venture to cover 5% of the country's landmass. And US DFC has approved $150 million conditional loan for mine operations in Mozambique, part of the Southern African community, the northern part of the SADC. That's it there. North Africa, yes, Egypt's food exports up 10.5% January to July at about 2.6 billion US dollars. But the country's FX reserves also climbed on a 12-month basis to about $34.9 billion. That's reporting at the end of August, by the way. The US Geological Survey says Morocco's earthquake could cost the North African economy about 8% of its GDP. Thousands of lives have been lost, and that's no good news for this major economy powerhouse, not just in North Africa, but for the entire African continent. And we commiserate with the families of the victims of that earthquake, with more than 2,000 already being dead. And of course, Libya is also going through its own rough patch as we speak right now, with hundreds also reported dead in another natural accident. Tunisia, just to sum it up, says its economic growth will soften to about 0.6% year-on-year in the softened 0.6% year-on-year in the second quarter. That's April to June, against a much robust 1.9% in the previous quarter. Quite a very bit of a testy time for a number of countries in the northern part of the continent. And let's keep it there and continue your briefing tomorrow, Thursday. I'll see you then. I am Bosin Namofaye. Bye for now.